The rain of the last few days have been light but steady. And look, the greywater pond is already almost full. It's not overflowing there on the other side, but it definitely is now much fuller than it was before, and everything that grew here in this more shallow area is now submerged. Unfortunately, it's getting colder and colder, and the vetiver is showing its autumn colors, which means I'm cold and will soon go dormant. But then it makes roots while it is in this state, because it won't stop growing below ground, I think. Of course, it would be nice if the temperatures were higher and we had the moisture, but we are not in a tropical rainforest. So the winters are mild and wet, and the water is supposed to be stored in the ground, so that then, when the temperatures rise again, plants continue to grow by using the moisture stored in the ground. But if the ground is only minerals, that won't happen. It needs biomass, roots. So I hope we can get more and more roots in the ground. And then the place where we achieve this will be able to thrive during summer, given that there's moisture and shade. Well, we do have another fire, but this time one that we created on purpose. Now, as it's very rainy, we had a lot of downpours at night, and more is on the way for later this afternoon. We decided to burn a few things that nobody will pick up, and that way stuff disappears and this whole farmyard becomes cleaner. So here you have it. It's a nice fire, and Angel is keeping an eye on it. And you might have heard the thunder in the background. So there's something all around. So we just took advantage of this white band that was fallen to the ground and would have deteriorated. So we have put it up here to tell the horses, please don't step into this area, because that is the place where we can use the leftover trees, which are mostly pine trees and similar things, to plant them here over the next few days. Now that we are getting a lot of rain, it's just perfect, and they can establish themselves without needing any irrigation until the summer comes around. So if we do this now, they should be fine without any additional help. And of course, when their root system taps into this, that also should then help them. So this is a nice triangle that is not good for anything special, but for that. And that creates habitat for birds and other wildlife, other things that can live there. Another small change, I just placed this soil moisture sensor here, and Angel earlier today added this wobbler, so that we have this irrigation system streamlined. So right now the 32mm pipe ends there, and there was already a coupling, so this was just perfect. We were able to remove the rest of the pipe, and this there, and also the wobbler. They came from A11, where we have the sun hemp. We don't need it there anymore, and we'll remove more. And we also were able to remove the shut-off valves that we had initially here for a test. So now we know that we can drive this whole system. we just use the teepees. You can see that we have standing water here, that's from the rain. So we keep this irrigation system here in the wannabe food forest operational, just because we might need it, because right now it is raining, but it could stop and then we will need it again. And after all, we can drain the pipes and leave it, because the idea is to grow the grasses here and make sure that this definitely is an area that is not suffering from drought and similar things. I did talk about this before, so just to remind anyone, so the idea here is that this is the place where we want to have a lot of grasses going, so that we can put a few geese in here. And as there have been some comments, let me explain. So 2 is probably too few, but 4 might be good. To get started here with 4 might be a sensible thing to do. And of course we want to maintain the grasses by irrigating when the summer comes. And in general, this whole area should become healthy soil, dark soil like this. And then at some point we will add some of the paulownia trees, not because we want them to harvest for wood, but instead we want to have them for additional shade and for chop and drop. They are well suited for that. And we have 2 irrigation lines here that are 1 inch on the inside, and the second line, which is not in use, ends up over there. We placed it already strategically in this position, because that is the line for the second system, so that we can irrigate all this area there. Not now, this is for spring or after spring, but that is where we can then reuse all the material that we have in the other fields where we put the sun hemp and friends. Because the plan is that sun hemp and friends will be left there to their own devices. I found some trash that I can take out. It's plastic, so better I take it with me. So that what is beyond the farmyard or too far away from the farmyard will not be attended for the time being, but instead we make sure that this area is nice. And then when this area is nice, we take on the next area and the next area and the next area. Always adjacent areas. We will not do anything that is too far away, because that does not work. And we also started to remove some of the wooden fence posts to install them in a different way, or use them there in our zone B, which is basically next or next after next, so that things get in shape. As you can see, we have blue sky, a little bit of clouds, looks extremely nice. And what I can show you is this pond is full, and it started to overflow into the trench there. And it's not from the rain directly into this pond, it is from the soil all around that's bleeding water. So this filled up after the rain. And our irrigation pond over there, I have a camera there that shows me how it looks like, is also full. And if I go there today or tomorrow, I will. And I also will show you the Miyawaki forest. This is certainly overflowing again, also, not again, because of the very same effect. So once you have these holes in the ground, and there is still a lot of soil around that cannot hold water for long, it fills those places. But then, with more plants which need the water, this effect will then become less and less, and the water will be stored where it actually belongs, in the ground. Right now, it will bleed, and it will come out where you can see it. Without this pond, that water would flow away. And it goes into a creek, and the creek goes into a nearby river, and the river in the sea, and it's gone. And that is part of the problem that we have in this area here. So this pond fills later. That is basically the message. But in our case, there is now enough structure to keep the water for longer, so the water can do some good here. But we need to plant more.